It's always sort of a highlight of the year to attend the ISCT Annual Conference. Not quite as much fun to attend from my house as it is to be in the convention center, or in New Orleans in this case, right? But it's been a fun meeting. I'm probably a bit biased, but one of my favorite sessions every year is the session that the Presidential Task Force on Unproven Cell Therapies organizes, just because it's an area I really focus in a lot, and one of the sort of key areas where I engage with ISCT. But I really enjoyed this year's session. I guess this was 2 days ago now, looking at deception in the marketing of unproven cell therapies. I just thought it was really valuable to hear from FTC. We hear from FDA a lot as sort of the key health regulator, right? The organization that is approving these new therapies. But FTC has just such a critical role in the US context on truth in advertising. And so much of what we're worried about in this is the marketing and the claims that are being made. So it was just really valuable, I thought, for me personally, but also for ISCT membership, to hear about FTC's interest and how they interact with FDA, particularly in the world of health claims. So I thought that was really interesting. I also really appreciated that there was this international component. This is not a US only issue, although I'm based in the US, and so I tend to think about those issues first. But this is a global phenomenon, right? And it's actually, the field has changed a lot. Originally, it was sort of branded as stem cell tourism when it was about patients traveling from one regulatory environment to another. Increasingly, it's access to unproven stem cell therapies or cell therapies around the corner, right? In the US, it's everywhere. And in many other countries, it is as well. But it's just critically important to see the cooperation among various authorities in the different ways that authorities are dealing with it. So having the Australian perspective was really valuable and a really interesting element of that section, of that presentation. So following up on that, something I'm interested in is there's a global regulatory workshop coming up. I believe that's still later on today, right? So that's one I'm looking at, just to think about and to learn about the different ways that health authorities deal with novel cell therapies in all sorts of different contexts, right? Because as a cell therapy developer, you want to think about, can I access the US market? Can I access the EU market? Can I access the Australian market? And thankfully, there's a lot of similarities, but there are also some really key differences. And so getting a handle on seeing the latest update is the kind of thing I really appreciate ISCT for. It's just a great opportunity for me and for all members to get the latest, perspectives there. So, from the regulatory side, I'm excited about that. The other thing I've just really enjoyed at the conference, and a lot of this is over, but there's still some coming, is just the wealth of CAR T cell related panels, presentations, posters. I think it's really exploded broadly, but at ISCT as well over the last couple of years. And it's just been such an exciting time, as we see the approvals in these initial, blood cancers and different leukemias and lymphomas. But as we see the field, just explore and expand in interesting ways, right? So this discussion of autologous therapies versus allogeneic therapies is just fascinating on a lot of ways. The trade-offs that biotech companies and pharmaceutical companies are making between something that they can scale up and, have on the shelf to treat patients versus the personalized treatment where it is matched precisely to me or to you or the patient, but at a higher cost with a manufacturing delay. All of those issues are just fascinating. And then I think the big question for the field, and where a lot of the excitement is can the success of CAR T, and to be fair, they've been phenomenally successful in these last resort blood cancers, but can that expand? Can that move successfully to frontline blood cancers? And I'm quite optimistic that we'll see that move at least to second line therapy. But then even the bigger question and the challenging scientific question is, to what extent can these personalized therapies move towards solid tumors? And as you know, solid tumors are just a huge health challenge, right? And it's been a very difficult area to advance for a variety of reasons. But there is exciting promise being made. There, exciting progress being made. And I, like seeing that at ISCT to sort of get a sense of where things are moving. So I've been, trying to follow along with those sessions as best I can.